Hi there, Sharon Pederson back again with another tip for you. And this time it's the situation where, have you ever quilted a quilt, put the binding on, had a look at it, and realized it really needed some more quilting? But how are you going to mark the design if you choose to use something that requires an outline? So this is definitely a quilt that needs more quilting. I started it with some sashiko designs, and I thought I was going to do some kind of free motion thing on the outside, and I realized that I didn't really want to do that. But because it's already layered, it's really difficult to put on a light box and trace a pattern. So I was trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? So first thing I did was I consulted my own book, Sashiko, Sensational Sashiko, for designs that I might use. And while we're looking at it, there are two quick tips here. One is when you buy a book and you want to use it and have it open without you having to hold on to it, take it to Staples or Kinko's or someplace and have it coil bound, because then you can open it wherever you want and it will lay flat. So that's a big plus. And this is a wonderful tip that we learned from Carol Doak when she came to do her DVD with us, and that is have one of these pocket pages inserted inside the book, so if you have a stencil or pattern pieces or something, you can just pop them in the pocket and they stay with the book. And for this one, because I had quite a few extra bits and pieces, I had a pocket page put at the back of the book as well. So lots of places for you to store things. So what I decided was to get the design on the quilt so that it's easy for me to mark or to follow. I was going to trace this particular pattern, one of my favorites. All right, I'll get this out of the way. So this shape or this shape I thought would be lovely for the quilting design. So the question was how to get it on the darn quilt. So what I thought was, why don't I try creating a freezer paper template which I can just iron to the top of the quilt. And then I can just quilt around the outside of the freezer paper shape and then just peel the freezer paper off. And if it has a tendency to kind of move around while you're quilting it, if you put a pin in the center of each of those pieces, they'll stay put. So then it just became a matter of how do I cut them out or how do I make them? So my first instinct was to take a piece of freezer paper. Okay, I use tons of freezer paper, by the way. Lay the freezer paper on top of the page in the book and trace the outline. And then, because I thought I might use this design 4 times, one in each of the corners, I thought what I'll do is I will layer 4 pieces of freezer paper. But in looking at the design, I thought, okay, I don't want all 4 of my cranes facing this way. I want some of them facing this way. So to achieve that, what you do is you put 2 pieces of freezer paper shiny side up and 2 pieces shiny side down, and that will give you 2 of each, okay? 2 going this way, 2 going this way. Pretty clever, right? But it got even better. I was looking at this thing and I thought, hang on a minute, why don't I photocopy the page? And by the way, when you are using a book, you are entitled to photocopy for your own personal use. You can't photocopy and then sell it or give it away. But when you want to use one of these, and it says right on the very first page, trust me, it's there, that for your own personal use, you're allowed to do this. So you are allowed to do this. So what I did was, I took it to I have a photocopier attached to the printer on my computer. So I photocopied the page and I cut it out. And I just lightly ironed my 4 pieces of freezer paper together, not, really, really hard, just lightly ironed them together. And so there's the perfect image. I mean, when you're tracing, if you're like me, your hand isn't quite as steady as it should be. And so when you're doing a traced version of it, you can see there's definitely some wobbly bits here and there. So I just cut 4 layers at a time, and it's going to give me 2 going east and 2 going west. And so then, I'll just get my little bits and pieces here. You can position your shapes. Oops, upside down. I always get this upside down. There we go. Okay. So Boy, you can sure tell when you're looking at something upside down that it's really hard to get it to go in the right direction. Okay, I have also got two east-facing ones here instead of a west-facing one. But simple to cut the templates for sure, isn't it? So, photocopy it, cut it out, put it on top of 4 pieces of freezer paper. You could also just staple it, couldn't you? Instead of ironing that, all right? Just put a staple in a couple of places. And so when you are cutting, they will all hold together reasonably well, and you will have 4 very, very accurate templates so you can quilt after. You can mark your quilting line after you have layered it. So I hope that helps you get through a situation that I found myself in.